The big question I always get is, why do you still talk about Terra Luna Classic? Why do you still believe there is a huge potential with Terra Luna Classic? We're going to break down a little bit in this video. We've seen a massive market pump over the last 24 hours. Terra Luna Classic has had its fair share, but there is some interesting developments. One I think excites me is we get more and more development as we go on in time. Are we going back to all-time highs tomorrow? No, but we are going in the right direction. So if you are still bullish on Terra Luna Classic, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Also, smash a like on this video. And let's take a look at exactly what's going on. So here we go on the global cryptocurrency market. $1.17 trillion. 29,894 is the current price of Bitcoin, 4.6% up. Now, what's interesting is we're nearly at 50% BTC dominance, which shows you massive amounts of money are flowing back into the cryptocurrency market. I still think we are yet to see huge financial institutions get involved, but look, the sea of green out there right now, some moving as big as 10, 20%. We've seen Pepe absolutely go crazy today, but Terra Luna Classic hasn't, done what it does normally. We've always see this slight move up with Terra Luna Classic. It tends to come a couple of days later once we see the Bitcoin move, but currently ranked the number 71st highest ranked cryptocurrency with a 3% move on the day. You can see there, volume around 60 million, market cap $541 million. All the greens, 3.5% up and 84% up on volume. So we'll take a look fully at the technicals in just a second, but we have a couple of developments that I want to talk about. Terra Swap. So Terra Swap contract migration on Terra Classic has finally been finished. We've added some feature updates based upon our audit report. So fully audited by Chainlight, and they have updated their swap. So the TX deadline, you can set a deadline for your transaction not to be executed after the given deadline if prevents trade from the unintended swap rate, auto balancing, liquidity provisions, initial LP and CLI only. We've got the Terra tolerance setting in the liquidity withdrawal, a number of other features. The Terra Swap coming very soon. If you are interested, check out their Discord. Again, it's another DEX and swap feature that we have on Terra Luna Classic, again, as we see the build out of more projects. Obviously, we've linked now into the full Cosmos ecosystem, so it does make it much easier to build upon Terra Classic and equally then integrate those swaps to use on other functions and other blockchains. So again, a good step forward that we see Terra Swap coming live. Now, we do obviously have the L1 Q3 proposal with revisions. Now, I've talked a little bit about this previously, but we have the full discussion and summary put there by Lunc Army, talking about fundamentally what they're going to do, what they're going to be all about running into Q3. Now, obviously, it does come with a cost. And interestingly, the cost is a little bit more than I think everyone's kind of expected, but I want to show you something when we take a look at the community pool that kind of makes sense. And while we are seeing this fill up and we're seeing price positive movement or burns increase, then we got to do the right thing. There's no point stopping halfway through because ultimately you never get to the end. So as of June 14th, during the second quarter of 2023, the joint L1 task force has successfully achieved technological parity between the Luna Classic blockchain and other Cosmos blockchains. The first upgrade, version 2.0.1, involved upgrading to the Cosmos SDK to version 0.45.13 and the Tendermint to 0.34.24. So I'm not going to go too much into the specifics of that, but ultimately, like we said, we have linked in and achieved technological parity, which I think is important. So based on the successful progression in the first and second quarter, it's proposed the L1 task force be granted the mandate for Q3 to continue the blockchain development. Again, I'm not going to go fully through that. Ultimately, it just gives a bit of a summary of what they are. What we need to talk about, though, is what they're going to bring. What is the purpose? What do we get for Q3? Remember, I always talk about they have to develop something that either moves the price or moves the burns. Otherwise, you don't get buy-in from the community. So what do we get? Well, primary benefits anticipated by the end of Q3 would be a migration from Columbus 5 to Columbus 6, reduce sync time for the archive nodes, and improve overall network performance. Development and test fail-safe mechanism within market module to prevent future death spirals or excessive minting of tokens, and the Cosmos SDK upgrade from version 0.46 to 0.47. So three quite simple bits. It probably don't mean a great deal to a lot of people straight off the bat. This development and test fail-safe mechanism obviously is linked into the USTC testnet that we want to develop, and ultimately then we'll support that potential repeg that I know everybody is super excited about. So it breaks it down specifically into kind of, I guess, month by month. So you got July and August, got research development upgrade for Cosmos SDK. We got the explore, devise and test reliable fail-safe mechanisms for the USTC test environment, and investigate and develop test feasibility of implementing maximum cap for the Lunc supply with the market module. Ultimately, define maximum supply of Lunc cannot be exceeded. So again, if anything was to go funny or anything was to happen, it does stop that. And my view was that is ultimately that will just reduce as we reduce the supply. The maximum supply will also reduce so that we're never too far away from stopping that. Again, another fail safe that would be applied to it. Looking into August, September, the development approach from migrating to Columbus 5 to Columbus 6, the recommendations regarding COM BFT versus the Tendermint, and identify and address ad hoc security vulnerabilities and bugs within the chain, and develop intake form and informational documentation for end users. That's August, September. And then the final month, the September, October, revise testing results for the market module, the governance approval to implement alliance module, implement token factory module, develop and prepare budget proposal Q4, and provide detailed elaboration and design concept for the smart contract module, specifically focusing on enterprise authentication. So some pretty big statements throughout there and some pretty big things. That is, I guess, the highlights. There will obviously be more stuff that comes in there, but feels like we're going in the right direction. This USDC repeg, doing it step by step, being sensible, getting the test environment. Likewise, looking at swaps, token factories, and a number of other parts, all feels like we're going in the right direction with Terra Luna Classic. What does that ultimately look like in terms of a cost? Where you see the total budget is requested down here. 37k is for Superman, who obviously we talked about him before, supposedly one of the best L1 developers we've got. You got that for 3 months, a number of other developers. All in all, it chucks in a total budget of $133,000 for Q3. That's 1.48 billion Luna Classic at a conversion rate of 9015. Now, this will be revised as the proposal goes through. Bear in mind, we've still got a few more weeks, and again, it will be revised. As you can see tonight, the price of Luna Classic 9291, which I think is a good thing. So we'll see how that builds out. But what I wanted to talk about, if you believe that they are adding value and doing the right thing, well, we take a look at the statistics of Luna Classic, and in particular the community pool, because this is fundamentally, you can see where we get paid out from. So the last one we did pay out was 976 Luna Classic. It was a slightly higher price at the point in which that came out. But the positive here, as we see the spike down from here, so remember 15th of April when we got that sell and paid for the L1 task force team, the total number of Luna Classic 2.072 billion. We do, however, currently sit as of today at 2.1 billion, so we are ahead only marginally of where we were prior to paying out for the L1 team. So that does tell us the fund is building up. That tells us that on-chain volume and transactions are going through to ultimately support and be able to pay for this. So the net deficit is very much marginally towards the favour of the community pool as opposed to the L1 task force team. What does that give us? Sustainability long term, and at the same time, it means that there is obviously funds there to pay for it. But I'm interested to know what your view is on that, so drop a comment down below. Let me know, do you think we should do it or not? What does that all encompass them in? Well, like I said, 1.8% up on the day. We see Terra Luna Classic actually starting to trend up. We're on the 15-minute. We'll come out a little bit further. This is the hourly chart here. It is a very, albeit very small incline as to what we've got. If you think about this for the last kind of 4 days, it is a positive sentiment. We're currently holding on to the 7-day EMA, looking for a bounce off that. But everything's starting to move a little bit more bullish. We've got the 20 there, the 50 and the 200 all trading in the right direction. RSI trending about in the middle with MACD looking very positive. So we could start to see a push up. While ever, though, you have got Bitcoin knocking in nearly a 6% move on the day, you're always going to see Terra Luna Classic slightly behind the rest of the market. But overall, the market looking great. Terra Luna Classic could start to move over the next couple of days. We've seen some very big movements and very big explosions. We actually tipped in 9450 just earlier on today. So again, we'll see kind of how this all pans out. What do we want to get to? Well, look, I'd like to see us retest this 9.6, hold above this and start to push up. But overall, 2.5% up on USDC, 1.81 up on Luna Classic. All in all, pretty bullish. Let me know what you think, though, in the comments down below about that L1 Task Force team. Do you think they are worth it? Do you think they are bringing what we want to the space? As ever, thank you so much for your support. Don't forget to subscribe on your way out, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.